Episode number 480 of the West Tigers podcast. 32 points to 6, the final score. Not in our favour against the Warriors on Friday night, in case you've been living under a rock. It's certainly been a game that has generated lots and lots of discussion. Lots of things are being said by West Tigers fans. Some of it sort of eye-opening and worrying in terms of some of the things that they want to change and some of the ideas that they're coming up with. But I thought we'd have a bit of a chat about a few different West Tigers things. Obviously, there's a little bit of news around a guy that wears the number 6 jersey as well. But let's start with the one-word submissions from Nick and Josh. Hey, guys, what do you got for us, Nick?
Hi, Joel. I'm going to give you a number. My number is 55. I've just done a quick Google search and we have 55 days left until we play the Panthers in our last round.
Right.
And I cannot wait till it's all over. I've had enough.
You've had enough. You've had a gutful.
Yeah, I'm just ready to check out. The last 3 weeks has been really hard for all of us, but we're struggling to score points. The boys are still putting in effort, but it's a messy effort. And I can only see this going one way. I cannot see us salvaging anything from the remaining matches. I sound really negative, but they're not giving me much to go off when I watch them in terms of giving me hope. So I've just about given up hope, Joel. I'm ready for a long off season watching cricket, which I'm not a huge cricket fan, but I'd rather watch the cricket than watch the West Tigers at the moment.
The only hope we have is Tristan Hope.
Yeah, bring him
Let's
back.
hope we don't have that one soon.
Josh, what about you? What do you got for us?
I've kind of mulled this over the last couple of days, Joel, and I think my answer is expected. We like there was lots going on for the club this week and the team this week. We're playing the team coming second and convincingly second in the comp. And so if I look at the score from that angle, I go probably expected. Well, I actually, and I think 20 minutes in, I was, posting the group that 20 minutes in, I expected us to lose by 40 or 60. So I suppose I can kind of say the last 60 minutes were probably better than I expected. The first 20 minutes were horrific, but I think with everything going on, with the injuries we're facing, with the Jarome Luai stuff, which we'll obviously get to later, I think a lot of it was expected. And probably, as the weekend went on, I saw a lot of teams get flogged. So it kind of makes our 32-6 scoreline not look as bad as it did on Friday night when it was the only game. But also, given the last 2 weeks, our inability to score points and some other challenges, playing the team coming second, it was probably an expected or maybe even a little better than expected result in reality. So not necessarily the way we're performing, but the outcome maybe a little better than expected, but still fairly disappointing overall. So yeah, expected.
I'll agree with you, Josh. I expected to lose, and we lost. I did say we'd lose by 50, so I'm quite happy that we didn't lose by 50. We managed to contain that. What disappoints me is the fact that we scored 6 points. I think in the last 3 games, we've scored about 22 points in total. It's like averaging just over 7 a game. I think we've scored 1 try in 2 of those games and 2 against the Dragons, which is pretty bad. So, look, I don't expect us to win many games coming home. I hope we can win at least 1 game. But yeah, it's dire straits. So curious to know what everyone's one words are, Joel, and yours as well. But not good, is it?
We've got a good list to get through. During the game, I've written down battleships, and what I mean by that is, they are about as nimble as battleships. They're kind of like everybody else is like a speedboat, and we're like lumbering battleships. We're just so slow in everything that we do. But then I thought to myself, battleships can actually sort of have some impact. So maybe we should go for like cargo ships instead of battleships. Speed was obviously there as well. I want to talk a little bit about that. But I've gone for an acronym, okay? So an acronym is what I'm going for, and it launches us into a little bit of a chat I think that we should have, and that's I've got some ideas about what we need to do with the team short-term, long-term. So I'll bounce a few of those ideas off you. But my acronym, okay, I'll hold it up for people watching on YouTube. So it starts with S. Okay, so S is the first letter.
Can I give the second one? It starts with H.
No, it's only three letters. The second one is E,
Oh,
I don't know where this is going. This is a family
S,
podcast, John.
E, and the third letter of this acronym is not X, it is R, SER, which stands for Strategic External Recruitment. And this leads us away or maybe towards what we were talking about on the last edition of the podcast, which is we have got to stop it with these sugar hit signings. It is not going to be the answer to the West Tigers' problems. So the Jarome Luais of the world are not what we need. We cannot afford to pay someone 1.1, 1.2, even just, if it's, let's say it's $1 million. We cannot afford to pay someone that much money that delivers what he has delivered. And this is not a shot just at Luai. It's a shot at all the guys that we've tried to wave the magic wand and think this is going to be the guy that changes everything. What we have got to do is we've got to have strategic external recruitment, like Jake Avarello, which I think is a great sign. If we can make a few more strategic signings like that over the next couple of years and build on what we've currently got, then I think we're heading in the right direction. So no more sugar hits. It's just got to be strategic, and we've got to continue with that solid base that we're building on. I always talk about stability and having a rock to build from, and that is why I'm not going to join any of the calls that are out there saying we need to get rid of Benji. Is anybody here, any of you, either of you guys, thinking that that would in any way, shape, or form be the right move at this point? Because I don't think it would be at all.
I don't want to get rid of Benji. Everyone was loving Benji the first 2 months of the competition, and we've seen that all of the boys have openly said they love playing for Benji. So if you come to a happy club and you're playing for a coach that you respect, and that builds that culture around the playing group, and not just the playing group, but amongst the entire organization, then results will come. Like, we've had a rough run and we've spoken about it, and they sound like excuses, but you cannot hide the fact that everything turned south at that Sharks game when Dewey scored that try and he did his shoulder, and we lost Sam Weller for an extended period. And then not long after that, we lost Taylor May with his shoulder. Then we lost Uppy to a suspension. Like, everything just went pear-shaped. Since then, Benji's been trying to plug holes out wide, whether it's back row centres, shuffling players around. Taruva's still playing in the centres, and he's not a centre. I don't want him playing in the centre. He's doing a good job, but he's one of the best finishers on the wing in the NRL, and he hasn't had a chance to show that. But getting back to your question, I wouldn't get rid of Benji. We've had rotten luck this season. At some point, the luck's going to have to turn. It's probably not looking like it's going to turn this season. If it does, it's going to be too late anyway. But you're right. If you were to handpick anyone out of the NRL that could just waltz into West Tigers and fix us, like, who would that be? Like, even if you drop Nathan Cleary in, I think he'd struggle to get the team into a winning position.
But it depends on how you define what needs to be fixed. Because we don't need to rebuild. This is not a rebuild. This is not a throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we would be totally silly. I am worried about some of the selections and some of the decision making, and sometimes the boys are not looking too motivated, and there's some things that I don't necessarily that have me a little bit worried about Benji. But Josh, we've got to see this through. We've got to give him more time. I mean, these calls. I will not join them at all at any point in the near future.
I find it very strange, Joel, that I'm actually agreeing with you. I actually agree with everything you just said, and that's why I hadn't. And this feels very strange and unusual, but I do. I think we have to hold the course. I think there's been a lot of positives around individuals this season. There's been a lot of positives early in the season, obviously on the way we play, but even in the last few weeks, like, obviously there's been some quite strong negatives around the way we play, but we've been getting the ball up the field. We've been like we've been doing the basics fairly well. Like, it hasn't been that extra 10%, but it's not been a horror show either. I think we've got to keep working with Benji. I actually, as we'll get on to, I actually think the club has done the Jarome Luai thing. I think they've done the right thing across the whole experience. I mean, that doesn't mean it's a perfect outcome, but I can't disagree with what they've done or the way they've done it. Are we there? No. But do I feel better about this year than we did for three wooden spoons in a row. And I think people forget just how low we were
Mm.
coming off, and we've still had some chaos. So I don't think the club gets better or less or becomes. I think if we swap again, we lose a heap of players. It becomes we become more of an embarrassment than we are
Yeah.
today. So we've got to stick the course because I don't think we
Mm.
have any other option.
The only players we can afford to lose are from about 15 up on the
Mm.
numbers. We can't afford to lose any below that, other than obviously Toa. On Luai, like uh, you know how I feel about it. I've been saying this for a while. If we can offload him, we should offload him because he's not made a difference on the field. We're not winning more games because Jarome Luai is there. He's had a hand in a couple of good performances, but if you're paying someone that amount of money, he has to be a game winner, and Jarome Luai has not been a game winner for West Tigers. So it is the right move and it is the right thing to do. What we have to be careful of, I think, is going out and finding someone who is a replacement. Surely we're not going to recruit any more halves. There's some words about, I'm not going to name names about players being targeted to come our way, but Nick, we have got to go with what we've got. We've got Latu there. We've got Javon Andrews. I don't think full credit to Dewey for what he's done and his amazing comeback from injuries. I don't think, and that is one thing that is slowly turning on me, is I don't think he's a long-term halfback option for us. But we can't. There is not somebody out there that we can throw $1 million at that just fixes everything. We've got to use what we got.
Yeah, this is true, and I've been saying it. I said it last week that I wanted to see. I'd rather see Latu and Javon play out the rest of the season in Cup just to work on the combination. But it's almost getting to the point where you'd like to see them both in the NRL team over the last 4 to 6 weeks, have a run and see what they look like with the NRL team around them. Albeit, I'd rather have our best players in their best positions around them if they were going to get that opportunity. Now, I know we'll probably get into it, but I know Samuela came off a little bit early on Friday night, and it looked like he twinged his groin, although I've heard some reports that he's fine. I know Benji said in the press conference he's fine, but he was sort of, holding that sort of area. He was pretty ginger when he did it, so not sure of the truth around that, but hopefully he's fine. But I wouldn't want to bring in Javon purely to see what he looks like with Latu if we're going to be sort of backfilling those center and back row positions around him, which isn't going to add a great deal to our potency in attack because we don't have any at the moment, but I would like to see something change. So it's an interesting one because I don't know what you do with Jarome. I really don't.
Yeah, to Joel's point, I agree with what they've done on Jerome for next season. I think once he signed with PNG,
Mm.
while I would have been happy for him to stay, if we can get a good deal, which it seems like we have done for next year, clear the decks, allows us to keep Latu and Samuela, allows us to recruit, not in the halves. I agree. Like I think if we're looking to recruit, it should be in the middle. And then I think the club's probably, I think they had no choice around the PNG, but they dealt with it well. And I think moving him on and getting that done, um, it's the right option because it allows us to spend that money elsewhere and set up for the future. So I think that's good. I think for the next 6 weeks, I'm still happy to see Adam and Jerome play if they're fit, partly because we're just so short of, like physically so short of options across the field to take
Mm.
out experienced players. I think you just cause chaos. Look, if one of them gets injured or one of them, especially if Adam needs surgery or needs anything health wise, then you can bring Latu in absolutely. But they're coming in even if they came in to play in a squad that's kind of falling apart injury and availability wise. Right. So I think it's okay to go in fresh in the off season and kind of build into that for next season for them. But yeah, so I think what happens for the rest of the year depends on injury. Although we were playing Latu in the centres and we had Lanyon playing second row at the end of the
Mm.
night. I mean,
Mm.
we are very much short of troops in some of those positions, so that could
Mm.
impact, especially where Dewey plays. So the rest of the year.
Quick one, Joel. Do you think Jerome was poor on Friday night?
Mm. I think there was effort there, but I think his execution once again was really poor. I mean, kicking on the second,
I
yeah,
thought he was better than Adam. I thought Adam was really
Yeah,
disappointing. I
I was
Dewey
thought he had
was
a
disappointed.
shocker.
disappointing. Yeah.
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 And look, there's obviously something wrong with Dewey
Yeah.
physically because you can see it in his defense. He's back to where he was before, and he wasn't defending like that earlier in the year. So that could be, I think that's going to be an issue, and maybe it's a situation where we have both in terms of, Andrews and Latu get time in the halves, but they're not starting games in the halves, and we move things around a little bit, especially if Dewey does go and have surgery earlier, which I think is absolutely 1,000% the right thing to do. I mean, this year is gone. Forget about it. 2027. I want to go to Vegas and I want to beat Melbourne. I want to come back and I want to start winning at Campbelltown next year because that's going to be where we're playing our games. And I, we've got to do everything we can with a focus on getting the best possible start to 2027 now. That's all that matters. So, yeah, like we've got to debut him. We've got to debut Javon. We've got to give him some time in first grade. We've got to get some experience there so he's not hitting the ground as a debutant in round one next year if that's the way we go at 5'8". I've
So
got a few.
Joel, you
Yeah.
just a quick question. You said strategic external recruitment. That was
Yes.
your
Yes.
your acronym. Um, any suggestions on what that strategic external recruitment looks like?
Well, I've got a bit of a rundown here of a few things that sort of popped up and bobbled up in my head when I was watching that game and the last few games, to be fair. I think we've got to absolutely let Royce Hunt go. I think we've got to let Bunty go. I think those guys, the game has passed them by. The game is a game of glorified touch football nowadays. And yes, you need physicality. Like, look at the Warriors' perfect blueprint. Speed, but also winning the collision every time. Very, very, very impressive. And those guys just aren't like that. They don't bring that. We need more of that. So Bunty and Hunt can go. Seyfarth, New South Wales Cup. And I'd let Skelton go. I wouldn't be re-signing Jarrell Skelton. Get Sione and Twal back into the prop rotation. We need a dynamic prop. We need to look at lock forward. We need to look at lock to have somebody who brings impact but also creativity. And that's not a slight on Alex Twal, who's done a tremendous job, and we wrapped him all through the year. But I don't think he's our long-term option there. Dewey fits a lot of that for lock, but I don't know how robust he is to be able to do that. I don't know if we unless we pull something out of the air in terms of another prop, if then we're going to need that bit more thrust from lock. So that's sort of a work in play. I don't know which way the club is thinking, but I don't think Dewey is your long-term halfback. I just don't think he's creative enough, and I don't think he's the man. That's not a slight on him. I love what he's done and when he was playing earlier in the year, but I don't think he's your long-term halfback. Macassini, put him on the wing in place of Skelton. May and Averillo in the centres. You've got Latu, you've got Andrews, you've got Ethan Roberts, you've got Hayward. How good was Hayward? We've got to go youth, speed, and the ability to win the collision. Now, that means that there's a lot that needs to be done. Obviously you bring KPP back into this team, it makes a difference as well. And Samuela, look at the difference in Samuela made. So I think our recruitment, to answer your question, Josh, we need a dynamic prop, and we need to look at the lock option. I don't know which way the club is thinking there, but we need to strengthen the reserves. We need to strengthen what's coming off the bench and what's coming after them. So that's that strategic. I'd rather have five guys that are all going to be able to come into first grade, do a good job, than one guy that's coming on big money with big expectations. That's what I'm talking about. So if we can get into that, just humming along where we're just strengthening the weaknesses each year, that's the way to success. We've been like this, back and forwards and back and forwards and chopping and changing, and we need stability. We've got to be stable. And I think there's a good enough core there if we can build around them. The other thing I would say in regards to West Tigers 2026 again is I still don't think we've been prepped properly. I still don't think we're physically you look at some guys from other teams who play, for example, in the centres, and they are really muscly and really physically different. And I don't know what it is with our guys, but we don't quite look ready for the physical game as compared to some other teams. So I don't know a whole lot about that sort of side of it, but to me, as just a layperson who watches from the grandstand or the television, I look at our guys sometimes and I look at the opposition and I think, no wonder that guy's breaking through the tackle. Look how strong he is. So I think there's some of that as well. So I don't know if there was some talk in the off season when we planned how we want to be physically ready, but I think we might have got that wrong a little bit. But again, I don't know that. What are your thoughts, guys? Do you think I'm on the right money there, Nick, in terms of getting rid of some of those sort of, the hunts and the bunty followers and going a bit more dynamic?
Um, Probably. I mean, it's the way the game's going. I actually, apart from the stupid sin bin, I didn't think Bunty was that bad. If you
He
take
he
away that,
wasn't bad, but I just
yeah,
don't think he's the right. Look, if Bunty goes on the market tomorrow, which other NRL club is going to sign Bunty a foul and use him in first grade?
probably no one.
Yeah, because that's your answer, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
if
I
you can
mean,
go, Here's this guy's contract. Does anybody want it? And nobody else puts their hand up. There's probably something in that.
yeah, but to be fair, if we didn't have the injuries to KPP and whoever else is missing from our props, I think we're almost back. I know Royce is out, but Bunty wouldn't be playing. Bunty would still be in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
So he has been forced to play because we've been crippled. So
And I'm not labouring the loss. I mean, obviously the ten minutes in the bin certainly didn't help.
well,
But
that killed us. They
I'm
scored
looking
2 tries in that 10 minutes.
more macro at the squad, and guys like that are not what you need anymore.
Yeah, it's an interesting one on Bunty and Royce. I think Royce played well in his kind of 15 minutes off the bench early in the year. So for me, actually, what I'd have is that it's not about replacing those two. I mean, Bunty's on a train and trial. We could keep him on a train and trial next year. I'm happy to have him stay. What it is adding to the props for me. I don't think we had enough props to start the year, and I think that's been proven out because I think Bunty should be. I think you should have six props in a NRL top 30 squad. And I think we had Pole, we had May, we had Hunt, and we had Sione, Fainu. I think we had four, and then we had Bunty as a train and trial. I'm
Mm,
happy with Bunty as a train and trial if you've got five or six prop.
mm.
I think we're one or two NRL props short, and then Bunty's your New South Wales Cup prop, and that I'm happy with. Like I think that to me is that, and I think he's done a reasonable job. And I think Sinbin, other than that ridiculous sin bin, which he, lost the plot. But other than that, I think he's done a solid job. And I don't mind that he's your fifth or sixth or seventh, probably sixth or
Yeah,
seventh
yeah,
option
yeah.
there. So if we add to him with 150 first grade games, but he's lower down the list, Joel. To
Mm,
me, I think that's where he goes, and I think that's the area that that middle area, whether it's props or lock or how we do that. I don't care if we move 12 up or we leave 12 there, but add another prop or I think we need more in that middle. And the guys we've had coming off the bench and coming in of depth haven't been good enough in that middle. And I think
yeah,
therefore we've had to really stretch some of the guys who are in there. And I think, to me, I think Terrell Mays had a bit of a disappointing season in defense. He does a lot of work,
mm,
but he's clearly like you saw it on the weekend, and I was checking the Fox Sports stats. Like as far as props go, they've got a try cause stat.
mm.
Um, the highest prop other than Terrell May has caused six tries, which is Keon Kolomatangi and Jack Williams.
Yep.
Um, Terrell May has been the cause of 12 tries as a prop,
Mm,
so
mm.
double the next closest prop, and I don't. I think partly it's because we play him too many minutes. Like I'm
Yeah.
not. That's not totally his fault, but I think he struggles with that, and we're really stretching him out. And I think you saw that with the try early on Friday night, and
Mm,
I think he's probably not as fit as he was last year. Like I think that's one of the areas where
mm.
he's struggled. So and then we're playing him for longer minutes. So I think we've got to get him back to playing 60, a max of 60 minutes, 55, 60, get him a bit fitter
Yeah.
and have better guys coming off the bench to support him and not have him out there playing those minutes. So.
We'll have a look at the one word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum in a sec. I've got them ready to go. But I thought just while we're on that part of the field, how good was Pole? I thought, for a guy that I have been critical of, he was really, really impactful, wasn't he, Nick? I think once again off the bench is the go for Nua.
Yeah, he's awesome. He adds a lot of impact, and he came on, I think, around the same time as Jared Hayward. And when
Mm,
Jared came on, everything straightened
totally
up and
different.
everything was so much faster.
Mm,
So that's what I'd love to see more of Hayward coming off the bench around that 15, 20 minute mark to give him plenty of opportunity and bring someone like Paulo with him because all of a sudden, and you saw what happened, we went from labouring, can't even get out of a half, to all of a sudden we were advancing up the field like it was 10 weeks ago.
Yep.
So, yeah, from a young kid, Jared Hayward playing his first NRL game, very impressive, and Fanua just complemented that very, very nicely.
I think the other thing is Fanua looks uninjured. He looks fit, he's which he's probably one of maybe 2 or 3 blokes who you go, actually, he looks like he's playing at full fitness. So, it that's the difference. But he's, as you said, coming off the bench has been a game changer for him, and I think maybe unfortunately for him, he's locked himself into a future as that first guy off the bench. So.
No, that's in today's game. You can play just as many minutes off the bench as starting, eh?
Yeah.
So, one word, West Tigers Podcast Forum members, Plunder Monkey, halfback. Plunder Monkey saying our attack is shapeless and directionless. Yanni said, help, I need it for supporting this team. Mike's word was NRLW. The girls are killing it. Barra, tackles. Our backs can't seem to break them, and they can't seem to make them either. Mr. Anonymous 26 went for the word better. We need better assistance, better players, better depth, better defence, better attacking structures. We need to be better at everything. Natmac 78 missed tackles, every decent opportunity with the ball, direction, and missed out on finals again. So missed the word from Natmac 78. Thank you. Tigersman Hayward, his service was slick and precise. Mac Tiger was going to be honourable, but our marquee players made too many mistakes for that to happen. So, in other words, it was going to be an honourable loss, but kind of didn't work out that way. LFC Tiger, one day we'll have a team, one day we'll have a season where we don't sabotage ourselves. Dirty Reds, sad. It's sad following the Tigers. London Tigers' word was write-off. The season is done and players are playing as though they are freelancers, not as a team. And Osmo 7 youngsters. Time to give Hayward and Latu as much time as possible. Jared Hayward, Josh, I was at Leichhardt when Robbie debuted in 2003 against Manly, and he made an instant impact, and it was reminiscent of that. I thought he was very, very good. And what I liked about him too, I don't know if you watched it on TV, but when we did the captain's challenge, he was right up there saying, we're going to he doesn't seem to be backwards in coming forwards. I was super duper impressed.
He was sensational, Joel. That was one of the best debuts I've seen by hooker in a team that otherwise was struggling. Like our first 20 minutes were horrific. He came on and he changed the game for us. The speed of our play, the way it looked, some of those passes across field, like he was passing across nearly half the field and hitting guys. And look, I've been watching a fair bit of him in Jersey Flegg and New South Wales Cup, and the other probably addition to that is when he went up from Jersey Flegg to New South Wales Cup, the Jersey Flegg team got worse. And this week he came up from New South Wales Cup to Jersey Flegg, and that team went from smashing people and got much worse. He makes a genuine difference to sides he's in because he's slick, he's quick, the passing, the running, and he wasn't overawed. And I thought his defence held up. That was probably the thing I was worried about coming into first grade. He wasn't overawed. I thought for coming into a side that was playing, I think the worst 20 minutes I've seen us play. I mean, the sin bin didn't help. I thought he changed the game on his own in his first game of first grade. Like it was game changing, and I was so impressed. So I don't think for me he should ever see Cup again, unless it's to get that kind of the occasional 80 minutes backing up. But we should be off the bench for Appy when Appy comes back, and until then he should be playing 50 or 60. Maybe not the first 20 still, but should be playing 50 or 60. It was sensational.
Everything I saw from Jared on Friday night reminded me of exactly what I watched at Leichhardt in that trial we played against Penrith, I think it was.
Yeah, Penrith, yep.
Earlier in the year, where his service is great, like you're saying, Josh. Like his passing off the ground is really sharp. It's fast. It's to the chest every single time. He knows when to pass, and then he knows when to run. And for a 19-year-old kid, he actually reminded me a fair bit of Uppy with his style, the way that he plays. Like he can actually catch the markers napping. Like if the marker's not quite square or not quite paying attention, he knew how to dart either left or right of the ruck and grab a few meters and bring the forwards. It's like, especially like Funua, onto the ball and get that momentum going straight up the field. So he plays well above his years. I think he's Australian schoolboys not too long ago. And he's had a lot of junior rep honours, but he is a very, very sharp looking hooker. And you can kind of now see why the club decided to let Talon De Silva go. because they knew they had Jared Hayward in the making, who I remember the talking at the time was, he's going to be a better prospect than
Mm,
Talon.
mm.
And we haven't seen much. We've all only seen this, 50 odd, 60 minutes or something in NRL from Friday, but he looks really good. So yeah, really looking forward to watching more of him this season.
Would you say, because my feeling is, and I know we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit with a 19-year-old, but sometimes you just done good enough. 2027 will be the last year for Appy, I think, at West Tigers.
I kind of think what you'll see is that it'll transition maybe the year after to
Mm.
Hayward being the 60-minute hooker and Appy getting 20 minutes off the bench, because I think that experience and value he has around the club will still be good at the end of his career, and I think he'll be a good backup. So obviously injuries and body depending, I think you'll see that transition where Hayward becomes the number one hooker. But I think in your first year as a number one hooker in 28, it'd probably still be useful to have Appy kind of hanging around off the bench, helping you out, supporting you. So
Mm.
that's in my head what I see. But I think the future of our hooking stocks it definitely arrived on Friday night.
Write it down in Joel's prediction file. Appy will go in 2027. Yeah, that'll be his last year. He can play a lot more golf with Nick. That's why he wants to retire. He wants to get out on the fairways with Nick and play a lot more golf with him. Funny, we're talking about that first half. It was a microcosm of the West Tigers season because Nick, as much as it was dreadful and it was horrible and it was terrible, I thought from the 22nd minute to the 40th minute, we were the better team and we weren't that far off them.
Yep.
I know they probably pulled it back a gear, but we went up a gear or two.
Yeah, I rewatched the first 55 minutes today. I couldn't get through the whole game, but
Mm.
55 was enough. But I think we held them out from about the 20 odd minute mark to the 50th minute.
Yeah.
So there was a good half hour where they didn't score a point, and I felt like we were probably playing well enough that I thought we were getting on top of the game. And then Warriors scored a couple quick tries not long after that period, within 2 or 3 minutes, and then it was game over. But we did enough to claw back into that game. I feel really bad. We went up the Hunter Valley for a couple of days with the family, and I was sitting on the lounge with my 10-year-old boy who turns 11 on Wednesday. So happy early birthday to Isaac. But he had his cousins in his face, and they were going for the Warriors just because because he's a Tigers diehard like his father. The longer the game went on, the hood came further and further
Yeah,
over his
yeah.
face, and it didn't end well. But yeah, look, I can't remember where I was going with this, but it's just tough. It's a tough end to the season. Uh,
Well, tough from the point of view that you can see those periods in a game where the ability is there. Like sometimes
yep,
they're the same players and it's the same field and they're playing at a score of 2, and then 10 minutes later they're at an 8. It's the inconsistency that drives you a bit crazy. And I'm glad that we've got some positive moments because a couple of years ago it was just all negative, but like the ability seems to be there. I thought Josh, if we'd got to 14-12, if Macassini holds onto that ball, I think we might have been able to go on with it.
Yeah, I do too. Look, I think one of the things that did cruel our second half is Toa obviously went off injured at half time, and then Samuela at the 45-minute mark. So all of a sudden we
Yep.
had Latu playing in the centres. You got Latu at one centre, an 18-year-old in Makassini at the other centre. Taruv was playing sometimes out of position there. Samuela went off, so you had Seyfarth and Lanyon sharing
Mm.
the second row. Like I thought. Like you, I think I thought the first 20 were horrible, but the fact that it was 14-6, and if Hamasi had held that ball, it was kind of even coming. If it had been even coming into half time, I thought we were right in that. But then coming out in the second half with effectively 5 minutes in, you've lost two of you, and I thought they were both very effective in the first. Samuela obviously was sensational. I thought Toa was looking strong down that edge, and then all of a
100%.
sudden,
Yep.
which is a weak spot for them, and then all of a sudden you've got a halfback playing in the centres. I think that probably ended our chances and probably took the edge off for the team a little bit even. I thought, they scored 2 tries in 3 minutes, but they were
Mm.
running at a halfback playing in the centres. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we'd been running at a halfback off the bench playing in the centres, we probably would have scored a couple of tries too. And that's no criticism of Latu. If you're a halfback playing in the centres, you're gonna struggle at the best of times. So yeah, yeah, I thought we showed enough against the team coming second for 20, 30 minutes there. And even the second half, so a couple of tries in difficult circumstances. Then we were having a crack in the second half. Like we just couldn't get points, but we don't have much strike on the edges to score that points either. So, yeah.
There were some big moments, and those big moments aren't going our way. That Hamasi drop ball, he should have taken that. Like, that wasn't a bad ball from Luai. And I watched that. I even wound it back and watched it a few extra times today. That ball from Luai was pretty much right in front of Masi. He kind of,
It's fine.
I don't know if he was expecting a face ball to go across him out to the winger.
I think so, yeah.
It was almost like he wasn't expecting to take it, but he was in a hole. All he had to do was catch
Still
that
got to
ball.
catch it.
He just had to catch the ball, and he had 10 meters to run with no one in front of him. He was in the gap, and that was game back on. Like you said, it could have been 14-12, and it was game back on. The first one that I don't think we've mentioned yet in the first half, when Adam Dewey failed to find touch from the penalty. Like, the Warriors scored in the very next set.
Yeah.
Like, I know
It was
Dewey,
after 2 minutes.
After a couple of minutes. Yeah, that was Warriors' first try. But I know Dewey was down in the dumps in the press conference when he was sitting there with Benji, talking negative. And I know that he singled out in his very quick speech that he gave, or opportunity with the microphone he gave, he singled out the Mussy drop ball off the Luai pass. But I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be self-critical, but that failed to find touch was a huge early moment in the game, which helped to give the Warriors all that momentum.
100%. That's like, and it's unforgivable, those kind of basic mistakes from your star playmaker playing halfback. Like, you just had to kick the ball out.
Yes.
Attention to detail. Did he make the right decision not putting Latu in the halves and putting Dewey in the centres, Josh?
Oh, it's really hard in the middle of a game. You got people coming in. Like, I would have had Latu into half and moved Dewey out to the centres, because that's where you've got the guy who's actually played centre. Like, but we saw when Adam defended a little bit out there too. He clearly had one arm kind of hanging by the side, and so maybe some of that was playing into it as well. And also you got your halves. I think with all the controversy during the week too, that wouldn't have helped. Like, what you want to split them up, and Jarome, and so I think, it's unfortunate we brought Hayward in and we took Tavana off the bench. And so you've got no outside back on the bench for the first time all year, and we lose a centre. But with the amount of our outside backs with their arms hanging off, I think we could have left Charlie Murray off to bring Hayward on and had an outside back there. So, look, I would have put Dewey out there, but I do understand that, at that point you're kind of short of numbers and short of people. And I thought Latu gave a good account of him. Like, he ran hard, he tried his best. It's a hard place to defend when you play there. It's even harder when you're half. But so yeah, I would have, if they were all able to, if the rest were physically fit, yes, I would have. I probably would have put Adam there. We also would have got to see a bit of Latu playing in the halves, and I think we all would have liked that.
Yeah.
But I can understand mid-game where that's, do you want to make changes mid-game and change your halves up? Not that they've been doing great, but I do understand why they wouldn't. But yeah, I probably would have.
And Adam Dewey is still our first choice halfback. He trained the whole off season at 7 alongside Jarome Luai. He's played as many games as he can in the 7 jersey. So I do get it, but very strange looking at Latu out there in the centres. Benji probably felt like that he had his hand forced a little bit, but Latu did what he could. But obviously he's played everywhere except in the halves. Really?
Yeah, he's been moved around. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're into a new era very soon, I think, which will be interesting. What about counter-attack? I've never seen a team that sucks so badly at counter-attack as the West Tigers. The ball bounces up, but all of a sudden we get the ball and we just, I don't know what to do with it. You do something. Like, it's just not dynamic at all. There was a couple of times in that game where it's kind of like, this is the time, counter-attack, this is your opportunity. And it comes back to that speed thing. It comes back to that dynamic aspect that I think that we're missing. So I think that's what younger halves will bring us. We need to be more dynamic. And the funny thing is, like, Benji was the king of that, wasn't he? He was the king of the, letting the spring go, and straight away we get straight into it. If you look at so many times, I'm thinking of some of his most famous tries. It was from a loose ball that he scooped up, and obviously the grand final try was on the first tackle, and it was that counter punch, and we just don't seem to have any of that. So that would be something that I would like to see us work on in the off season. Six points against the what was that against the Knights, 12 points against the Dragons, 6 points against the Warriors, 4 tries in 240 minutes. So what do you think that tells us isn't working?
Our attack.
Oh yeah, you reckon? But is
That's
it
the kind of insight we're looking for, Nick.
is it
Magic.
is it gameplay? Is it strategy? Is it ability? Is it what is it? Why? I mean, we've got Buller, who I thought Buller did well, but did a lot better in that game. He is proving a bit more of an attacking threat. But I mean, that's got to be put under the microscope, surely, as to why we're struggling to score so many score points.
I think it's lack of strike on the edge, Joel. I think our
Mm,
centres and back rowers is where I think we probably trained a lot of the off season for centres and back rowers to be
yeah.
where our strike was. Taylor and May on one side, Toa, a fit Toa who does have strike,
Mm,
Samuela and KPP. We saw in the season a lot of stuff was kind of around them. Um, so I think, but then you look at the second half, we had Latu and Alex Seyfarth and Sione Fainu
mm,
who's a prop forward playing,
yeah.
and then Makasini who's 18 and is kind of playing injured. You like for a team that was striking on those kind of edges in that kind of corridor. Um, I think we've taken that out. We've lost all of those. And you saw with Sam Weller, he played 40 minutes, and all of a sudden we looked like we did look
Yeah.
dangerous down that edge. So that it
Superstar.
makes a
Yeah.
huge difference having those
Yeah.
superstar stars and your better players like Taylor May. Like if you have Taylor May and Sam Weller on there, all of a sudden some of the side to side stuff doesn't look bad because you've got Sam Weller and Taylor May. So I think that's a big part of it. And then I also think. I think we're just not. I mean, there's a lot of blokes playing injured, and I think that
Mm,
so you're missing the players who have strike. Um, I don't think it's necessary. Like, I don't think the halves are doing amazing things, but I don't think they're. I think it's hard to create because everyone knows the only danger we have at the moment is Adam on the right side. Like he's the
mm,
only one you have to stop,
mm.
and on the left side you have to put pressure on Jarome.
Yeah.
If you get those two, there's nothing else. So
And you don't
you
let
can.
Buller catch the bomb.
And the bullet. I mean, he's
Yeah.
trying to. We're like the fact that we're having to make that a play every time is
Yeah.
like, some he's going to get, but they're hard things to execute. You
Mm,
get the occasional one,
mm,
but we're trying to do it five
mm.
times a game, and I feel for Buller because you're not going to get five of those right
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to win. So, yeah, I don't. I think it's lack of strike on the edge, and therefore the couple of guys you've got, be it Buller running through, he's coming through. They
Mm,
know to put two blokes on him because what else are
yeah.
we going to do?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have to do, he can't find a gap because they know that he's the threat there. So I think
Mm,
that makes it hard.
That's when we were playing our best at the start of the year when you had Samuela, you had
yeah.
KPP,
Multiple options.
Options.
and yeah, multiple options, Taylor and May, and then you had Buller out the back. So Buller
Mm,
was the additional threat that the defense then had to watch out for. It was all the strike coming at you, and then Buller up and around the back. So yeah, decimated with injuries, like I said before. Players plugging holes. Three of us still in the sands. Need him out in the wing. Need him back finishing rather than trying to create one in. But yeah, this year unfortunately it's another write-off, isn't it?
In the post-match press conference, Benji said there were good efforts at times. He said the Bunty sin bin hurt us. He said we're not going to throw in the towel. We're going to fight to the death. He said he wasn't talking about Jarome Luai. They put the press release out the next day. Um, and he said Samuela was fine. He was on a minutes restriction, so he should be right for this week. So, Josh, is it as dire as Nick as the vibes I'm getting from Nick? I don't think it is. It hurt and it's frustrating, and I don't want to be where we're at. But I don't think we're as low as people seem to think we are.
I actually, and this horrible job, it keeps happening. I actually agree with you again. Uh, I think we're a good chance. Like, I think we're probably playing at 80% okay. Like, there's kind of that 80%,
75. Let's not go
75,
crazy.
80.
Yeah.
But it's just between the fitness of those guys and that
Mhm.
energy that the guys playing being fit has, I think that 10 to 20%. We were playing the team coming second on the weekend. So,
Yeah,
no,
100%.
no,
Yeah.
that's so, and the next few weeks are going to be playing teams not coming second.
Mm.
Um, will we, will it get better? I think that depends on who we can put on the field and how they're feeling. Like if you ask me, if we could put 13 fit guys out of our top 20
Mm.
players even or 17 players, we put 13 fully fit guys on the field out of our top 17 next week, I'd say we'll win 4 or 5 of the next ones. But I'm not sure that I don't think we're far off, but I don't know how we get that extra bit with what we have
Mm.
left. That's my concern. And then obviously, how does the Luai stuff play out for the rest of the season? Hopefully, it's sorted, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, it could go either way, couldn't it? Could
Yeah,
be like it's a relief that it's all done, or it could be, more of the,
yeah.
and Jerome, to be fair, like, he was making statements about team first, and I'm here for the long run, and all of that stuff, and the way he's handled it has been really, really poor as well. So there's a little bit of the microscope should be put on Jerome Luai.
100%. Yep.
I think there's a bit of damage that's been done between this whole Jerome thing and with
Yeah,
Benji. In that press conference
has
you
to
were
be.
just referring to, Joel, Benji was asked, "What do you make of Jerome's game?"
Mm.
And he said Benji's answer was something along the lines of, "I think the whole team needed to be better." He
Mm.
didn't respond in regards to Jerome specifically.
Yeah,
He diverted and went well away from that. He was asked about the whole Jerome stuff over the last week, and he said, "I'm not going to talk about it. There's a
yeah.
time and place, but it's not now." So there's something definitely going on. And I saw post game as well in the sheds. Jerome was looking really down. He was walking around very somberly, as he would after a loss,
Mm.
high fiving the boys and having a bit of a cuddle here and there. But he looked like a dejected man. So I think he's taken a huge hit personally in this last week as well.
And
Once again, sorry, Josh. Once again, I
yeah,
would say I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't last the whole season. Go on, Josh.
yeah, that could well happen. I thought he had a real crack. Like to
Yeah,
give him credit, like I know there's everything else. If he wasn't the one leaving, he didn't look like the one who'd
Mm.
thrown in the
It
towel
wasn't a
on.
Mitch Moses. Yeah.
Nah, he was like even to the end. He made that line break. He was tackling hard.
he
He
was.
was putting it like it didn't all work. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think there was any like I was quite impressed. There wasn't any shortage of effort and like he was trying. Even the like I know he put that kick through on the second and it went
Mm.
out, whatever. But it was a play. Like he was having a crack. He
Mm.
was. So I thought, credit to him. He put the energy. Like he had the effort. He had the energy. He was having a crack on Friday night, which plenty of players leaving the Tigers haven't over the years. So
Mm.
give him credit for that.
That early kick, Josh, in the first half on the second tackle, I think it was.
Mm.
When it happened, I couldn't believe he did it. I was spewing. It's like you've wasted an entire tackle count when we are attacking their line. But again, watching it back today, like the kick was on.
Yeah.
If the players out wide knew it was on, or if they were in a better position, I just think they were either too far back or the kick wasn't deep enough. I know the kick pulled up around about in the try line, so we couldn't even get it in goal to put any pressure on. I can't remember who the Warriors player was that ran it back, but yeah, look, a few moments that didn't go our way. That was one for Jerome that he probably wanted to take back. I know after it happened, he sort of grabbed his head and shook his head and was a bit disappointed with how it finished out. But I agree with you, though. He's trying. He hasn't stopped, but I think he's mentally shot at the moment,
Yeah,
which
he's
is
shot. Yeah.
probably starting to fracture through the club as well.
It's funny with these Penrith guys that have left Penrith and come and had a dose of the real world, isn't it? Like they
Yeah.
lived in fantasy land over there and then come into the real world where things don't just automatically happen.
Sadly, not as easy as what he was probably hoping it would be coming to the
Mm.
Tigers to get us into finals.
And it's really interesting. I was having a look on the Fox Sports side about his stats over the years through the Penrith years and then through the Tigers years. Um, on a kind of a per game basis, try assists, line break assists, offloads, tackle bust. He's on or slightly better than he was every year at Penrith too.
Mm,
Like
mm.
it's like his numbers. He is the guy that we bought from Penrith and is playing the same level of football that he was playing at Penrith.
Yeah, yeah.
What he's not doing is not playing for Penrith,
Yeah.
the championship winning side. But his numbers are there. So did he become Batman? No. But did he do exactly what he'd been doing for the previous 6 years? Yeah, fairly
Yeah.
well. Like we got what like, and that's you look at plenty of players. You generally get once they've been in the NRL for 4 or 5 years, and Alex Twal this year being an exception. You generally get what you got out
Mm,
of them,
mm.
or it gets worse. It hasn't really got worse. We've just got what he got out of him. We expected more than that.
Yeah,
Is probably
exactly. We
like,
expected
but
significantly more. Yeah.
but that probably says we had poor
Yeah.
expectations. That's our expectations were wrong.
Mm.
I know. Maybe his expectations were wrong, but he delivered exactly what he's been delivering for them. It's just in a team that isn't as strong. So
Beware the Penrith tax.
yeah,
Yeah. Like if they're coming out of the Penrith system, it's like buying a car that's got got a Bentley badge on it. You're going to pay significantly more for it just because of that one thing. We looked at what he'd achieved with that group of players, and we paid him way too much money, and our expectations were never going to be met, I don't think.
But to be fair, we're paying more for anyone. We're paying more for Jack Averillo than what he'd get anywhere else as well. That's just the state that we're at, and we've been at it for a very long time, and we're going to have to pay overs to get quality players to come to a club, whether it's Jarome Luai or whether it's Jack Averillo or whoever.
I'm happy to pay overs, but not twice as much what the player's worth.
Well, not as much, but how much is what's Jack Averillo on this year at the Dolphins?
Probably 450.
Is he 450? I'll have to have a quick look. But what's he coming for? 600, 650 or something?
Well, I don't know. A little bit of that's kind of, it is more, but it's kind of like, my understanding is it's a bit more next year, like 500, and then when the cap goes up, like it's one of those things where it sounds like a lot because the last 2 years are in a salary cap world that's much larger. So I don't know if he's getting crazy amount. I mean, the fact he's getting a little more is probably not great for us, but it's but I don't think it's huge amounts more.
So I hope we're not going to pay overs for Mitch Moses when he arrives this week, according to Mick Ennis. I mean, honestly, somebody has got to tap that guy on the shoulder and say, his head was in too many scrums, Mick Ennis, and he's a blight on the game. Anyway, Nick.
No, that was a strange one. When he said that,
he is a strange one.
And I was several glasses of red wine deep on Friday night when Mick Ennis said that. Yeah. My ears pricked up. I was like, what? But like Mitchell Moses, we've been there and done that. Like, we talked about him coming across before Jarome signed on and he didn't want to do it. But I don't know where that came from. But yeah.
But the term first-class dribbler comes to mind when I listen to him. Well,
Hopefully someone gives him another assistant coach job soon, so I don't have to hear him on television. That's the main result. As long as it's not us, to be honest. No. I don't see that happening. So, yeah.
No, thank you very much. And home game, wasn't it? Home game, Campbelltown, that's our home. I mean, you wouldn't think so because of the Warriors fans and the chant, but white jersey again. Very interesting. At a home game.
Yeah, white jersey out of Campbelltown, cold night. We are losing now, slipping down the ladder. Our fans are not going to turn out anymore. And yes, Warriors had a huge turnout, so kudos to them.
Maybe I should have gone submarines instead of battleships because we're going dive like a submarine.
Yeah, or a bit like, what was the submarine that imploded? Going down to the Titanic.
The Kursk. Oh, no, you're talking about
the Titan sub.
The Russian submarine was the Kursk. That was a terrible thing. But
no, we're a bit like the Titan. We're going down to see the Titanic, and we probably won't quite get there, and we'll implode before anything good happens. So, well.
Nick's taking his dose of negativity pills.
Oh, massively. I've got something else before we disband because I know you're probably getting close, but I do have something for you, Joel.
Mm.
For those watching on YouTube, there you go. And for those not watching on YouTube, it's a sign that says 560. That's how many more minutes we have to endure the West Tigers before the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long 560 minutes.
What happened? Is it 6 games?
7, I believe.
7, is it? Well, 6 and a bye, maybe?
1, 2, 3. Then we got the bye, then we got 4 after. Seven matches left.
So 7 at 6, 1 try. We've got 7 more tries to look forward to. That sounds very exciting.
If we get there.
Thank you, boys. We'll catch you for the midweek pod and see what interesting team selections there are on Tuesday night Tuesday afternoon from Benji.
Well, we're playing another team that was horrible this weekend and a way down the ladder, so it'll be a battle of the battlers out at Accor Stadium on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think we spoke about the fact that we haven't really beaten the same team twice in a season for a while.
Mm.
And we've got another crack at it this week against the Dogs. And we are not good at beating the same team twice in a year.
You have to look that stat up and give it to us on the midweek pod.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do my best, Joel. Let me do some research and I'll be ready for let's do a Tuesday night. Boy's birthday Wednesday, so let's do a Tuesday night pod.
A shout out. I won't be here on Tuesday night. A shout out to my daughter Matilda. It's her birthday on Tuesday, so we'll be out celebrating birthday dinner here. So
why don't we combine the birthdays and we'll do a live broadcast from
live broadcast on the birthdays? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joel.